All right, we are live.
Hey, good afternoon. How's Sammy?
Hey, I'm good. How are you today?
Never better, and welcome y'all to Hound Talk. Hopefully, we've got some questions on the board here that we can
Y-
answer for y'all, and
Yes.
from the great state of Maine.
Yes. So I'm right now, I'm just checking to make sure that we are actually live. It looks like we are. So yeah, any questions you guys have, just drop those in the comments. Um, and Dad, so what have you been up to? I know you're busy with your puppies, and it is bear training season up there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, it's a crazy time of year. You know, we wait a long time between the end of February and the 1st of July to get those dogs back out again. And July 1st means bear dog training season here in Maine. And of course, just happened to coincide with the puppies being 3 months old. So between the puppies and the bear dog training, which started Monday, we're right out straight. It's been a good week so far. We ran a couple of bears. We treed one opening day, July 1st. We ran one yesterday. A little runner that went for about 5 hours, and we could never put him on the wood. So finally, when we had opportunity arose, which I was hoping was sooner rather than later, but it wasn't, we caught the dogs and gave them the day off, along with me. I need a day off once in a while too, you know.
That's awesome. So the puppies, where are they right now in their training?
Well, mostly just getting them to do fun stuff, riding on the four wheeler, riding in the truck, riding in the back of the truck, in the front seat. Everything I can do possibly do with them is what I'm trying to do. They're real calm, easygoing pups, kind of go along with anything and everything. Uh, Showed them a couple of critters. One out of my red squirrel trap, I caught a rat, and I let them bathe the rat for a while, and that was nice. That got their juices flowing. There they there they are now, really cranking on that rat. And that was the first thing that the little black and white male. That's the first thing Jiggers actually bayed on as well. So that got them started, and now we're going to graduate to rabbits because, of course, we can run in the wild now. So our dog training season extends to rabbits as well here in Maine. So now we'll start to ride the roads when we're not bear dog training. We'll start to ride the roads early in the morning and see those rabbits on the side of the road, getting away from the mosquitoes and the other bugs, and graveling, and we'll start to put them on them and get them actually tracking on some rabbits here this coming week. We get an opportunity, and we plan to.
So
So
you
that
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I'm good.
Well, I was gonna say, have you been taking them to Bill Doobie's rabbit pen at all?
I have. They've been in there about 3 times now, and they did get a couple of really good sight chases. Uh, Real good cover in there, a lot of thick cover, and a lot of well, not distractions so much for the dogs, but for the rabbits. There's a lot of covers. There's pallets in there and wood piles and canvas covered wood piles, and rabbits got a good place to hide in there. So it's difficult to find a really good sight chase, but we've been accomplishing it. He's got a lot of rabbits in there, and like I said, it's about a 1.5 acre pen, so there's a lot of opportunities, and they've been doing real well in there. So we're going to continue on with that. But now that we can run in the wild, because it's past July 1st, we're going to see if we can't get them on some wild hare, and that's the plan this coming week.
Nice, nice. And so for everybody that's watching, we wanted to get on live, or I wanted to get Dad on here live just to do a Q&A. We had a little gap where we weren't putting out as much content. That was partially my fault. I got caught up and busy with my business and my new business. So we're kind of getting back into it. Have a bunch of videos already queued up and getting ready to be released. And Dad has his new GoPro set up. So lots of content should be coming my way.
Yeah, it's for sure, Sam. And the GoPro is challenging at first, and as I get more acclimated to it, it's going to get better. In fact, we recently ordered a remote for the GoPro 9 Black, which which is going to help a lot, because now
Yeah.
with the helmet cam, or the actual GoPro on my head, I can tell whether it's on or not, and whether it's filming. We had some missed opportunities yesterday with that little bear, but we also got a little bit of content for you as well. And that's the plan. Try to get as much footage as we can, just to kind of try to make it as though you were there. That's our goal. And in addition to informative videos, we want to try to make sure that you get the enjoyment of being there without actually having to come to Maine and do all the hard work of running those dogs every day. We know how tough that is. So we want to make sure that we can share that with you as much as possible.
So I have one question here from Mark Webb. He said, "Is it hard to make the adjustment from small game to the bear?" I guess,
Well, is it hard for who?
is it hard?
Is
Maybe
it
hard for the puppies, for the hounds.
No? The hounds actually go from the small game, the rabbits or whatever you start them on, to the bears or the bobcats very easily. In fact, the first time they're on one, they're off and running, and then that's about it. After you've had them on a bear or two, then the small game is history, and normally you'll never have to worry about them running those rabbits again. I've only had two rabbits chases in 50 years with dogs that I've actually started on rabbits. So it's not a big deal at all. Don't be afraid to do it. If you got young dogs and the time of the year is right, and you can run them on small game. Go ahead and do that. And when you make the switch, you have no worries after that.
Does it
But
help having? Does it help having like the adult hounds there to kind of lead the puppies?
Well, absolutely, because there are, in fact, pack hounds, and once we get a bear or a cat started with the trained hounds, and we put the young dogs behind them, they just follow along, and the next thing you know, they're doing what they were showed how to do. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier. Not impossible if you don't have a finished hound and you're bobcat hunting. When you put that hound on the track, and if he's got what it takes, he's going to start taking that cat track. What we've always done in the past, when we didn't have a finished hound, and that was often back in the day, we would simply walk the bobcat track up again. Depend on your geography. We're talking about in snow conditions. We would walk that bobcat track up with the dog on a leash until the cat actually got jumped, and then turn the dog loose. And that's how we'd start them back in the day. If you don't have a finished hound, that's not. And if you do have bare ground, you can't walk them up because of there's no snow. Then simply turn them loose with a trained dog, and away you go. Or find a cat that's out on the side of the road someplace, or in a cover where you normally hunt. Find a bobcat and work it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see if we have any more questions out there. I see we have some viewers. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry we've been gone for a little while. We really would like to start doing these lives once a week or bi-weekly, and inviting special guests in to pick their brains as well. So,
That's right. We've had Dale Cole on here, and like two or three other individuals that we'd like to get involved with this, and so that they can share with you their knowledge, which is far superior to mine, and then you can gain from them as well. Some of these guys have got 50 years of experience, and it's not just experience, but it's successful experience. That's what you want. Not just somebody with experience doing it wrong for 50 years, but somebody with experience that's been successful doing it, like a Dale Cole or a Danny Luke, and just to name two, not leaving anybody out. But these are the guys that get it done, and they get it done consistently year after year, and they're not only breeders and trainers, but they're true houndsmen, and these are the guys that you can learn from.
all right, here we go. So I have a question from Dead North. He says, "Do you run off baits or do you just do rig strikes?"
Well, that's a good question, and the answer to that is we do both. Well, since we can't start baiting until towards the end of July, I think this year it's around July 28th, from July 1st till the time that we can start baiting, we'll be rigging. And then after that, if we get an opportunity, we'll have our cameras out once our baits are out, and then we'll utilize the cameras and the baits to run off the baits, and we'll rig in between baits. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, we're doing both rigging and baits. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of states where you're not able to use baits, like Vermont, for example, all you can do is rig, and that's a fine way to get a bear started. It's a little more difficult at first because you want to make sure that you are running a bear, but by using your senses and looking for tracks and making sure that when you do get a strike, it is a bear and that it's going in the right direction, when the dog will be going in the right direction. Rigging is a great way to get them started. But yeah, answer your question, we do both.
We do both. And I've actually last year I was up there for a little bit of bear training season, and it was there was success between baits. I remember the dogs would strike right off the truck.
That's right. We would get rig strikes and we would run off of baits because we
Yeah.
had both.
Yeah, yeah. Now we have another question. It says, dogs that will bay bear on the ground, is that strictly genetics or is it exposure?
Um, well, that's a difficult question. It's a good question, and and basically, you have some dogs that will bay, and they are very good at it, and they'll bay close, and they'll stay on the bay. There's other dogs that tend not to want to bay. When the bear stops, they stop. And then there's dogs that once the bear stops, they want to get out of Dodge and head back to the truck. Okay, that's not what you're looking for. My considered opinion is you want a dog that will bay, but you want a dog that has grit. You want a dog that will have grit, be gritty on a bear, but not so gritty that he's suicidal. Nobody likes vet bills or deceased dogs, and a bear can do that. So the key is to have that fine line somewhere in between. Dog that'll stay with a bear, stay with a mean bear, stay with a walking bear, stay on a bay, and not come out, but not get suicidal either. So
Mm,
that's just trial and error with your dog. I mean, it is genetic. There's other things that are involved. For example, did you get that dog hurt at an early age? Did you get him hurt at an early age so that he's now really not too crazy about bears? You can ruin a dog that way, and that's one thing you want to really try to avoid. You want to make sure that you have an adult dog there that's when you start running them on bears, you want to make sure that you don't get on some bad bear to start with, and that can be hit or miss. That can be good or bad luck as well. And you get a dog that gets hurt early on, he may break himself off of bears, or he may break himself off of bad bears. In other words, as long as that bear keeps running, that dog will keep running after the bear. When he trees, that dog might be a great tree dog. But if that bear stops and woofs at him or starts to charge him, a lot of times, and in many cases, that dog's out of there,
yeah.
and that's not what you're looking for.
Right, right.
So whether so genetically speaking, if the dog comes from gritty parents, he very well may be gritty as well, and then again he may not. That's just something that you're going to find out when you take him to the bear woods.
So it's a little bit of both, a little bit
It's
genetics, a
a
little bit exposure.
and a
Especially if
lot of
it's
luck,
negative exposure, that could
and
like
a
what?
lot and a lot of luck. Okay, I mean, luck does play a part in it. We can say we breed a gritty dog to a gritty dog, so we're going to have gritty dogs. Not necessarily the case, uh, and vice versa. So you really want to pay real close attention to genetics, because it's my opinion that genetics are a very large part of what's going to happen there in the woods. And I see it in the traits of my hounds, which are basically Danny Luke's hounds, and and I see it in the dogs from generations past that I've had here, and I see the traits that replicate themselves over time. I've got a young female right here now named Sally, and and then I've had a dog that I lost last year by the name of Josie, and I can see a lot of the similarities between the two. Many of them have the same grandparents or great grandparents. And even a dog that I had by the name of Gabby that would go in her doghouse and bark. I mean, don't ask me why she go in her doghouse and bark. That's just something that she would do. And then I saw it in two or three of the other dogs down the line as well. So that's genetics. I mean, there's no other explanation for it. That just happens.
Uh,
So yeah,
I have a couple more questions. First, I'm going to ask,
sure,
can you move that little basket to the side? The little
sure.
basket right there.
How's that?
Oh, that's better. Now I can go. Okay, so here's our next question. This is from Bill C. He said, treehounds make bay hounds? Question mark. Or does it depend on the hound?
Well, thank you for the question. You know, treeing instincts in a dog are genetic in many cases. You know, you breed in tree hounds to tree hounds, and you're going to probably get tree hounds. The baying is just that as well. It's genetics. It's what that dog is meant to do. Um, you know, you want every bear to climb and do it with little or no damage to any of the hounds. That's the goal. But unfortunately, the bear never read the rule books. So he's going to do what he wants to do, and that's what you have to deal with. So yeah, you just have to hunt. You have to hunt them and see what you're going to have. It's like a box of chocolates, you know, like what's his name said in the great movie. You just don't know what's going to be inside, you know. But the key here is to stick with dogs that have been proven in the woods that are genetically responsible for what they do, and their parents and their grandparents and their great grandparents have done, and that's what you're going to probably see, but not necessarily.
Right, right. So we have another question here from Corey Graham. He says, "What are some tips to keep your hounds from chasing sows with cubs? I had a hound get torn up by one."
There's no tips. I mean, if you have a camera on a bait site and
Mm-hmm.
that camera is showing a sow and cubs, just get out of there and move on to the next place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a rig strike, you really don't know what you struck. I mean, that when you get a rig strike, it's a scent that's in the air. That scent may be 100 yards off the road. That bear may have crossed an hour or two before. There's no way to know that it was a sow or cubs until you turn your dogs loose and find out what you got. So there's real no answer to that. It's just it's bad luck if you happen to hit that sow and cubs. But there's no real way to determine what that dog is rigging on when it does strike.
Right.
The only way is if you're running off of baits and you know your baits with cameras. There's cameras on those bait sites. Then of course avoid it. And you can keep feeding that sow and cubs, keep baiting that site, but don't turn any dogs loose on it. That's
Yeah.
that's my answer.
Yeah, and I hope your hound is okay. That sounds terrible. But don't mess with a mama bear. I know that.
No, 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 no. We don't want to do that for a whole bunch of reasons. We don't want to do that.
Oh man. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Do you guys have any more questions? Um so Dad, you were getting actually some new cameras this season. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we've gone into the spy point cameras, which are sending the signals back to our cell phones in areas where there is a signal, and spy point makes a fine camera. Uh, you have to be able to receive a signal at the site that camera is located, and you also have to have your phone in a location that'll receive the signal from the camera. So it's not in many cases throughout the country. You don't have to deal with that, but here in Maine, with the mountains that we have and the remote areas and limited cell coverage, we have to pick and choose our spots. But the spy cam is going to change the game because now we'll be able to see these various bait sites once we're able to bait and see what's on them from our hunting location instead of having to travel from bait site to bait site, which can be time consuming. And so far, of course, we haven't utilized them other than we just started maybe to look for some coon and we can use them as a security camera at your lodge or your camp. But we're still in progress with that, so that'll be a later conversation.
All right. Now I have a couple more questions here. This is a good one. Do you think adding a smaller terrier, around 20 pounds, to the mix with bobcat dogs would be a benefit in thick brush, or am I asking for disaster with a terrier that wants to catch and hold game?
No, actually, I think it's great. I mean, I prefer a smaller dog myself on bobcats because I do like them to have the ability to get through brush. First of all, a smaller dog eats less. Uh, he, he, he,
Shits
he
less?
he shits less. Okay. He's easier to transport. He takes up less room. He's easier to carry if you have to carry him any place. There's just a lot of advantages to a smaller dog for me. Very rarely do I have a hound that's over 45 pounds. Now, I have several that are 50 now, but my ideal weight is that 40 to 45 pound hound. And they can be leggy, and they are, and they can be fast, and they are, and they can be gritty, and they can tree hard, and they can do all the right things. But the smaller dog can get around real good in the thick stuff, and that's important to me. And I think that's a great idea. If you can, and I don't know about 20 pounds, but there are certainly 25, 20 pound dogs that can run and tree bobcats. So that's not an issue. I like them a little bigger than that because my hounds are mostly dual purpose. I use them for bobcats in the winter, and I use them on bears in the summer and fall.
So that kind of leads us into our next question. This is from Dead North. He says, how many bear dogs have you had killed over the years that have gotten maybe tangled up with the bear?
Well, I've been blessed. I have never had a bear dog killed by a bear. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for over 50 years, and with the exclusion of 17 years that I was located in Florida, and in that time I was hog hunting for that 17 years. But on a bear, I've never actually had a bear dog killed by a bear. Although I have many friends and associates that have had dogs that were killed by bears, and and uh, and it's an easy thing to have happen. It's unfortunate that it happens at all, but it can happen. Bears are big game, dangerous animals, and when you play with big game, dangerous animals, you have the potential to getting killed. And that's the difference sometimes between grit and smart grit. Now, I know that in some of the southern states, they use much larger packs of dogs than we do up here in Maine. We're limited to 6 hounds in Maine. But the one thing that you want to remember is when you've got 20 or 25 hounds on a bear, it's those dogs that are up front that are in the most peril because they're the ones that can get hurt. They can't get out of the way. There's no place for them to back up. So when that bear charges, he's charging those dogs. He's got a wall of dogs behind him. He's got no place to run. But here in Maine, we only use anywhere from 4 to 6 dogs. I prefer 3. I'd like to have any 2 of my hounds able to run and tree bears. And that way, I can rotate them over a period of a week, rest up the tired ones, and start with fresh dogs. But yeah, I have not had any killed by a bear. I have had some injured many times. They get cuffed, they get clawed, they get hung up sometimes, but for the most part, no. And then some of the injuries aren't evident right away either. Sometimes a bear will hit a dog and you don't know it until sometimes days, weeks, or even months later. And I have had that happen to me. I've lost a dog to a herniated diaphragm, uh, and she probably was hit by a bear late in the season and unnoticeable until the following spring, and then she passed. So yeah, it can happen. It's a dangerous sport for sure.
So yeah, that internal injuries.
Internal
Um,
injury that's not noticeable initially,
yeah.
and the next thing you know, it's too late.
Yeah. So we have another comment here. So Corey Graham commented that Rosie was okay. She did recover from the little bit of a bear attack that she had, but he also wanted to say when do, when your dogs have a bear treed, how do you keep them from jumping on each other and fighting? They get a little
Well,
excited under there.
if you're not there, obviously there's nothing you can do. But when you get to the tree, my first option is to I tie them back. Uh,
Right.
I have enough leashes for each dog. I don't tie them together. I tie them back, and I tie them back in the direction away from the road. if that makes any sense, or away from the direction that I'm going to come out on. And what that does is it forces the bear back towards my truck when he does come down, because normally when you pull that last dog off that bear tree, he's coming down. Not always, but on a good number of occasions, once the last dog is away from that tree, he's coming down. Have your dogs tied back, and have them tied back with a distance between them so they can't get tangled up. And then in that frenzy and in the heat of the battle, when they may want to fight, or they're bumping each other and they're jacked up.
Oh.
You don't have to deal with any of that if you tie them back and tie them back with a space between them. But as far as being able to stop them from doing that when you're not at the tree, I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah. No, it does get crazy under the tree. That's when I lost my audio pack last season. Remember that? All that commotion.
I do. I climbed the mountain twice looking for it. And I wasn't going to go home without it, and I didn't.
No, you didn't. No, you were relentless. I don't know how you found it. Was about this size, somewhere in the Maine woods.
Yeah, it was half that size, and it was deep in the woods, and up a mountain, and it was hot that day. I don't know, but anyway.
Hey, the things we do for the YouTube channel.
The thing I do for my daughter, that's what I do. I don't know.
So we have another question, and this is actually a really good one. What kind of dogs did you hog hunt with when you were down in Florida?
Well, when I was in Florida, I used pit bulls and Yak Terriers. Now that's Jadgterrir. They're a German dog, Yak Terrier, which means hunting hound in German. And they weigh about 20 or 25 pounds, and they're absolute tenacious devil dogs. I mean, they used to get it done. And I would rig them just like I did, or off of baits. I would rig the hogs off of baits, or I'd run off of baits, or I'd rig them off the front of a four-wheeler or my truck. And I'd put the dog up on the toolbox and ride the roads. And then when they struck, that's what we would do. We would run those Yak Terriers. But that's what I used. And then we used pit bulls for our catch dogs.
Nice.
And that's a great question. Thank you. I did it. We caught literally hundreds of hogs, and we did it at night because I had to work during the day.
Well, of course.
So I had to hunt them at night, and of course there were other reasons too, like the heat. We'd run them at night because that's when it was cooler, and we would actually carry large coolers full of ice water, and we'd put the dogs right in the ice water if they started to stiffen up with lactic acid. So once they started getting toxic like that, we'd put them in ice water, cool them down as quickly as we could.
Yeah, so that was a little picture one there. Okay, so our next question is, do you think the new breed of hounds have lost their cold trailing ability?
Absolutely not. No, I don't think so at all. I think that I've got dogs now, and I've had dogs here for the last 20 years that have been as cold-nosed a hound as I've had at any point. So my answer is no. They're as cold-nosed now for me, in my experience. And remember, these plot hounds basically that I'm running, or these Dale Cole dogs that I'm using, are as cold-nosed as I've had ever.
Yeah. No. Okay. So that was a good question, and this one here is from.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, good one. This one is from Ryan, and he says, "Do you think there's a difference between the southern breed of hounds and northern breeds of hounds?"
Well, as far as the breeds, no. I think as far as guys breeding for what they're looking for in a dog, whatever the breed may be, whether it's blue tick, walker, plot hound, whatever, I think whatever they're looking for and whatever game they're hunting, I think they're specializing and they're zeroing in on those particular dogs' talents, whether it's a bare ground dog running mountain lions in Arizona or New Mexico, or whether it's a snow dog that's being used up here in Maine on bobcats. I think that the individual breeders and the individual hunters are zeroing in on that specific type of what they personally are looking for. And so, generally speaking, no. Specifically, yes. There are conscientious breeders who are looking for a certain dog that can take a mountain lion track that's 3 days old over hot rocks in the Sierra Nevadas, and yeah, and they're breeding to other dogs that are doing the same thing. Okay, and maybe that dog's going to make a great snow dog in Maine. I don't know, because normally what happens is they're not cross referenced like that. Uh, but I look for dogs that do the best job in snow for me here, and I'm not overly concerned about extreme heat or dry conditions because I don't hunt that way. But
Hmm.
someplace else in the country where they do, they certainly are looking to breed those dogs in that direction.
Isn't
So
it hard?
yeah,
Is it harder to pick up scent on the dry ground?
dry ground conditions are very difficult. I have not had a lot of experience in dry ground. I know it's easier on the hot, rocky conditions than it is in so I have been told by lion hunters that are out there, and they say that they like to trail them in the rocks. So yeah, dry hot conditions to me would seem very difficult to run under, as opposed to damp humid conditions here that hold the scent better in Maine or in snow. And snow is an entirely different conversation that we might have to get into, somewhere down the road, because we've had our conversations about
Right.
that, and that's a whole different story. But yeah, I think it's probably pretty difficult to run in those hot, dry conditions. It would seem to me. I haven't got a lot of experience doing it, but if I had my guess, I would say yeah, it's probably pretty tough.
So we have another question coming in here, and he says, "What tracking collars do you use?" I know we've done a video specifically on your tracking collars, and the telemetry and your GPS ones, but which ones do you prefer?
Oh, definitely Garmin. I use a Garmin Alpha system. I use the T15 collars, which has the correction capabilities, and I use an Alpha 200 now. I went from a 100 to a 200, and I'm very pleased with it. It took a little getting used to. There's a lot of bells and whistles on it, but I think in the long run, because of its grouping capabilities, it's a great system. And I also run my telemetry. I use wildlife material and collars along with the Garmin, because even though the Garmin technology has come a long way since its inception, it still has a little glitch here and there, and there's no need to be losing a dog when you don't have to. If you have the telemetry system, I certainly would recommend using it with the Garmin. But the answer to your question is I use Garmin and products, and even the best of Garmin products or any product is no good unless you can receive a signal. And that's why I use extended range with the Wade Holdcraft. I use Wade's antennas with the triple mag, and they do a great job for me. I get up to 6 or 7 mile range, which is more than enough for me. It does a nice job. Worst feeling in the world is to lose a dog, and I don't want that to happen if I can avoid it. And you can avoid it with the proper equipment, and make sure that your proper equipment is charged and ready to go.
Yes. Yes. And we actually have two videos. If you check on the YouTube channel, we actually do have one specifically on collars and on the long range antenna. So
Yeah, it's
check those
correct.
out.
And that,
Yeah.
and yeah, yeah, don't overlook that long range antenna of Wade's, because extended range, it's extended range recovery system is the name of the product, and don't overlook that. I mean, if you're in that triple mag, you know, uh, over the years, one of the things that's really it bothered me is getting have to stop the truck, stop the hunt, get out and set your antenna back up on the roof because a branch knocked it off. And after you do that 10 or 15 times a day, and you're old like I am, and you have to get out of the truck and climb up on the roof and set that antenna back up there, and you can avoid it with a triple mag antenna, why would you not do that? I mean, it's a simple fix, and I took care of that and Wade took care of that with the triple mag. It's something that you really want to consider if you're hunting in areas where there's trees. A lot of people aren't, and I sometimes overlook that fact, but I do. And a lot of these trees are hanging low across that trail or that skidder trail or twitch road that you're driving on. And especially here when we have our winter storms and we've got snow piling up on these trees, and all these softwood trees are bowed over across the road, and if they're just out there to knock your antenna off. So please, if you can get a triple mag, go for it. It's a good idea.
Yeah, so here's a good one from Dead North. What's the largest bear you've harvested or been in on?
Yeah.
Maine
Well,
black bear.
been in on. Some of them I haven't even actually haven't weighed because they were so big that they never actually got weighed. But I mean, or harvested. Some of the biggest ones weren't even harvested. I was on one last training season that my hunting partner Ricky thought was in a tree. So he ran ahead of me, 40 yards ahead of me, and I kept trying to whisper to him 40 yards away, saying, "Rick, don't go in there. That bear's not in a tree." I wanted to tell him it's not in a tree, but he wouldn't listen to me, and he kept walking ahead, looking right straight up in the air like he was looking for a bear. When he walked onto this bear that was looking him right square in the eye, the bear was over chest high on him. It was looking him straight in the eye. I mean, it scared him. It scared him enough that he hollered back to me, and I said, "Rick, don't holler to me because nothing I can do for you. And you're on your own. You're on your own." Now that was a huge bear, and that probably was in the 500-pound plus class. The biggest one that I ever weighed that I was in on that was actually live weight, and that was like in the 490s. 470s, 490 range. That's a big bear. No matter how you cut it, that's a big bear. But the thing is, it's not about their size, and it's not about how mean they are or anything else. It's the hunt. Keep the eye on the hunt. Keep it on the travel, not the destination. Keep it on the journey, because that's what hound hunting is all about. When you're running dogs, it's all about those dogs doing better today, doing better tomorrow, doing better the next day. And as you watch them progress, that should be your satisfaction. That's a goal that I try to keep in the forefront of my mind all the time. Not how big the game is, not how big the bobcat was, not how many you killed, but how many you ran. How well did the dogs do? That's what Hound Talks wants to signify. Is it's about the hound. It's about the hunt. Okay. And that's where, if your satisfaction is coming from, you may be a hound hunter. And if it's just about killing big game, then you can do that off of the bait. You can do it a lot of different ways other than with hounds. But believe me, people say to me, "What's your favorite size bear?" My favorite size bear is about 150 pounds. He runs for about 2.5 to 3 hours. He trees. He's not mean to my dogs. I can pull my dogs off and walk out of there away from the tree with nobody hurt and no bear killed. That's my favorite bear. Any other questions, Sam?
A couple more. So we have one here. It says, "What do you?" This is from Corey again. "What do you feed your dogs, and does the amount vary depending if you're in season or off season?"
Um, well, we have cold weather here, and obviously they're cat hunting in the middle of winter. I try to keep as much food in front of them as I can. I feed them. I like to feed black gold. I also have Victory High Pro Plus that I'm feeding right now. In addition to the black gold, that's 30% fat. Excuse me, 30% protein, 20% fat. All right, I want to feed them quality food. There's many reasons why I want to feed them quality food. One is I want to keep their stamina up. I want to keep their strength up. I want to keep some meat on them. I want to keep them hydrated. That's very important that they drink. I like to feed them before they get all stiff and sore from the run. Uh, and I want to give them as much food as I can keep that they'll eat. That's the important thing. Keep the food into them and keep them hydrated. Make sure that it's good quality food. But I don't. My dogs are active mostly year round. So consequently, I don't have an off season where I have to cut them back. and I've never had a problem for the most part of them getting overweight. My problem is keeping weight on them. And then there's Mrs. Natole, the dog warden, who is, if they show any signs of not being in top condition, she starts boiling up the chicken thighs, and then we start mixing that, and that gives them additional protein and fat. And when that's mixed with their dog food, they'll get back in no shape, no time. I like to use boiled chicken when it's necessary.
Yeah.
When
So
condition could.
this is a good question. It kind of piggybacks on what's going to be coming with the puppy training videos. But this Richard wanted to know. He's curious why you crossed a Cole's National Cat Hound with a plot, and you can't beat the plots. Why would you change something that you've been running for years?
Okay, well, that's a great question, and some question that I ask myself sometimes. So, so I'll try to share the answer with you to the best of my knowledge. Thank you for asking the question. I appreciate that. I've always, in the past, tried to obtain a Cole's National Cat Hound unsuccessfully. Usually, Dale had it would go something like, I don't have any right now, or I don't have a, and this would go on. This went on for a number of years. Uh, However, I did obtain a young male, a puppy by the name of Ranger, several years ago. I guess Ranger's going to be 4 now this fall, so it's been about 4 years, and I obtained Ranger, and he didn't really show me much on bears the first year. He was still under a year old, and what he would do is if he got on a mean bear or a bear that would stop, he would come out, and I'd say to my hunter, my client, I'd say, "Hey, good news, we're on a bear." How do you know? Well, you see that dog right there? I call him Ranger. When he comes back to the truck, that means we're on a bear. So it was kind of a standing joke, and I said, well, I mean, I'll just finish him out through the bear season, and then I'll put him on cats because that's what I actually got him for in the first place. And I put him on his first Bobcat, and he never came back, and that was it. He ran cats, and just like he'd been doing it forever as a young dog, and he did an outstanding job. Not that the plots didn't, but he took it to another different level. So the following year, I put him back on bears. He liked them a lot better. The third year, he went even better. In fact, at one point, I actually seen him ride a bear across the road, uh, but it was on the bear's back, and he had a hold of the bear's neck. So he developed a pair of canones as time went on. He grew himself some balls, all right, and he used them. So he did an outstanding job on both bears and cats. And although I don't keep males as a rule, and I don't keep dogs that aren't plots as a rule, I ended up with Ranger. So I broke all the rules myself, and I have a tendency to do that. So I kept Ranger, and now a friend of mine, actually several of them, had dogs that went back to a dogs that were bred by a guy by the name of Tim Berry. Tim lives in Western Maine, had an outstanding reputation as a hunter and guide, great cat hunter, good bear hunter, and had a dog that he had called Jack. Jack was bred to a dog called Kizzy, and they had a litter. And this litter came to pass to be an extremely prolific litter. A friend of mine had one, another friend had one. They were both doing a great job. I had a chance to hunt with one of them. The dog does a nice job. Her name is Maggie, and they come from a line of cat dogs. So both my friend Paul and I decided, well, you know, Maggie's doing a great job with, and she was a blend of a lot of different hound breeds. In fact, if you'll give me a minute, I'll share something with you. Be right back.
Oh,
Okay. I just had my bride of 36 years make me copies of this today. Okay. So we've got English, we've got cur, We've got blue tick. We've got Walker. We even have a red bone in there. Okay, we've got some hard time red ticks.
Oh, wait. We lost your audio. Audio? Did you bump something? Try, hold on, we'll get him right back. I'm going to have him log out and log back in. Thank you guys for all the great questions. Here, let me pop up on the screen here. I'm going to have him log out and log back in. Sometimes that happens. The beauty of live, right? I can't post edit. There we go. He should be right back. So yeah, I'm just going through. These were great questions. We really enjoy doing these lives. And like I said, we'd like to try to do them bi-weekly and have special guests on. That was our original plan. Things got a little crazy and busy, but definitely want to try to get back to that. You know, for you guys, I live down in Florida. My dad lives up in Maine. So we do this together remotely. So it's a lot of fun. He sends me the raw footage. I edit, create the thumbnails, put it all up there for you guys to watch. Thank you. We appreciate the support. It's been a lot of fun. I've been learning so much about hounds as well. Let me see if I get it back in here. The link. Hold on. There we go. Text him. There we go. So yeah, I've been learning so much, and there we go. He's coming right back in. So he was getting ready to read you, I think, what the mom has in her, which is his friend Paul's dog. We know Ranger. He's the Coles National Cat Hound, and he's so cute. And then the puppy, which I was just saying in the comments, is Jiggers, and you guys will be seeing more and more of him as I release the puppy training videos. He looks just like his dad, which I think is hilarious. All right, let me see if I can get it back in. Copy. There we go. All right, any more questions? Let's see. Mark Webb. Oh, thank you, Mark, for joining us. Thank you, Loxbog. We have, I realized we've been doing this channel now for over a year, so there's over 42 videos up there. Oh, he's back. All right. Sorry about that, Dad. You're back.
Hey, no problem. I don't know what happened.
That's okay. No, it happens sometimes. So I said live TV. So let's go back to this is Paul's dog, right?
Okay.
All right.
Paul's dog's called Maggie.
Yep.
We bred her to Ranger.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So in other words, and of course the Ranger dog is a running walker, Virginia foxhound, treeing walker, blue tick, plod hound, black and tan. So between the mother and the father, between Maggie and between Ranger, there's literally every hound breed imaginable bred into those two dogs. And that's what the puppies consist of right now. In fact, if you look at the pups, you'll see that the female looks like the mother, who's Maggie. And if you look at the male, he looks exactly like Ranger. And they show a lot of plot because they do have a lot of plot in them. Both the mother and father have plot in them. So the answer to your question is that's the reason, because they were both excellent cat dogs and they came from a lineage of excellent cat dogs. My plots are bred for both bear and cats. Not that these dogs aren't, but they were specifically bred for cats. And that's what I do. My email address is maincathunter@yahoo.com. So it's main. I'm a cat hunter that bear hunts. My preference of game is bobcats, not bears. Although I love running bears and I do it every day, but I really would, if we had snow conditions here, I'd run bobcats every day. Or if I lived in Oklahoma where they can free cast a dog and run bobcats, I'd do that. So that's where it's at. And then I wanted to see what would happen when we crossed the Dale's dog, the Cole's dog, with the Tim Berry line of dogs, and they're both excellent cat hounds and both excellent lineage of cat hounds, and see what we come up with, and we'll see. That's the answer.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. Yeah, and I do have right now a pup out of my fancy dog, which is a Plott. Does a nice job. Her name is Piper. Does a nice job on cats, and I've got a Danny Luke female that I call Sally, who does an outstanding job on cats. And that doesn't mean that we can't have another cross that does equally good or possibly even better. And that's where we're at with that.
Yep. So there was your answer.
But thank you so much for the question, because it's a logical question. You've done so well with Plotts. Why are you doing this? Well, I don't know. I'll give you a better answer next spring.
That's true.
Now,
That's true.
I'll let you know if I spent a year for nothing or if it worked out for me.
Yeah.
But
Now
I think it'll be fine. It's going to be fine.
it will be. It will be. Now,
Yeah.
what is the this is another question. Have you ever heard of a Spanish hound?
I have not.
Let's see. What are they used for, friend? Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So this is a picture of a Spanish hound. Or no, maybe not. It's a hound from Spain. It's a pretty dog.
Yeah, good looking hound. Yeah.
Yeah. Big, 50 to 60 pounds.
Yeah, that's about the size. Yeah, good size hound. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me go back and see if he knows. Nope, no more, no more. Just wanted to know if you'd heard of him.
No, sure haven't.
Any more questions, guys? We're gonna get ready to wrap this up. We appreciate all of the participation today. This was a lot of fun.
It was. Enjoyed it tremendously. You had some great questions. Hopefully, this will be something that you can look at again somewhere down the road. We try to do it once a week. If you think of any questions, fire away, and if I don't have the answers, I'll try to get them for you, and I won't bullshit you. If I don't have the answer, I'll just say I don't know.
Right.
Which is most of the time.
Now, you do answer a lot of the questions that people are leaving in the comments of the video. So if you guys ever see a video and have a question immediately, you can drop it in the comments, and he's good at getting back to those as well.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everybody listening and looking. Stay tuned for the puppy videos. We're doing all kinds of crazy things with them, from riding them to swimming them to having them chase rabbits and rats and everything else. So, and sometimes it's more to my benefit than it is the puppies, because it gives me something to do, or it did up until July 1st. And now I have to fit it in between the bear runs, which will be we're going to be going to bed here shortly, and tomorrow morning at daylight we'll be in the bear woods.
Oh man! All right, well that's it. We're signing off. Good night, everybody. Thanks for
watching. Good night, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here.